Today we explore the story of the creation of the 9 realms. Before gods, before men, before even the stars, there was only silence. A silence so heavy it felt endless. No mountains, no seas, no sky above. Only a void without light, without form, without time. This was Ginnungagap, the great yawning nothingness. From this emptiness came the first sparks of creation. To the north stretched Niflheim, a land of biting frost, swirling snow, and endless night. To the south burned Muspelheim, a kingdom of raging fire, where flames roared without end. Between them, Ginnungagap trembled. When ice met fire, creation began. From dripping frost and rising steam, shapes were born. Creatures older than gods themselves. The first giant, Ymir, emerged from melting ice, vast and terrible. Alongside him came a great cow, Odhumla, whose milk fed him, and whose licking uncovered something hidden within the ice. A man. A figure who would change everything. The void was no longer empty. The first forces of chaos and order had awakened. From this clash, the 9 realms would one day rise, woven together like branches of a mighty tree. But the beginning was far from peaceful. It was raw, petty, violent, unpredictable. And so, our story begins in the frozen darkness of Ginnungagap, where fire and ice first touched, and where fate itself began to stir. From the silence of Ginnungagap, the meeting of frost and fire shaped the first breath of creation. It was not gentle. It was not kind. The frozen rivers of Niflheim flowed into the void, their icy venom hardening into frost. From Muspelheim's side, flames leapt and cracked, filling the emptiness with sparks. When the two forces collided, drops of melting ice came alive. From these drops rose Ymir, the first of the giants. He was enormous, his body formed from chaos itself. His breath was cold as winter, his steps heavy as falling mountains. Ymir was not alone for long. As he slept, more beings formed from his sweating skin. From under his arms grew the first frost giants, tall and strong. From his legs, more children of chaos took shape. Ymir was both father and mother to them all, his body birthing an endless line of giants. But Ymir was not the only one shaped by the meeting of frost and fire. In the same void appeared Odhumla, the primeval cow. Her hide shone with frost, and from her teats flowed rivers of milk. Ymir drank deeply, and her milk gave him strength. Yet Odhumla had her own task. Hungry, she licked the salty ice of Ginnungagap. Slowly, patiently, she uncovered something hidden beneath the frozen walls. Day by day, her tongue revealed the shape of a man. First his hair, then his head, then his full form. His name was Buri, the first of the Aesir. Tall, handsome, and powerful, he was the ancestor of the gods to come. From him would rise a new line, one that would challenge Ymir and his chaotic kin. Buri fathered a son named Bor, and Bor took for his wife Bestla, a daughter of the frost giants. Together they bore 3 children, Odin, Vili, and Ve. These 3 brothers would one day become the first gods, and their story would reshape all that existed. For a time, the void echoed with both giants and gods to be. Ymir's children filled Ginnungagap with their wild strength, while Buri's bloodline prepared for something greater. But the balance could not last. Chaos and order cannot share the same space forever. The young gods grew, and with them grew ambition. Odin, sharp of mind, sought more than survival. Vili, strong of heart, hungered for freedom. Ve, the silent one, carried the will to act. Together, the three brothers saw the threat Ymir posed. His body was vast, his offspring endless. If the giants ruled, nothing else could exist. So, the brothers made a choice that would mark the true beginning of the Nine Realms. They would challenge Ymir himself. The battle was violent. The void shook with its fury. Odin, Vili, and Ve struck with all their might, while Ymir's blood roared like rivers. The giant fell, his body crashing into Ginnungagap, and from his wounds poured a flood so great it drowned nearly every other giant. Only two survived, Bergelmir and his wife, who fled to the edges of creation. From them, the race of giants would endure. With Ymir's death, the brothers looked upon his massive corpse. To them, it was not the end, but the beginning. They dragged his body into the middle of the void and began to shape the world. From his flesh, they made the land. From his bones, they built mountains. His blood became seas and lakes. His teeth turned into stones, his skull into the dome of the sky. Sparks from Muspelheim lit the heavens, becoming stars. Thus the world as we know it took form. But it was still empty. A world of land, sea, and sky, but without life. The brothers had slain chaos, yet creation was not complete. Something more was needed. And so, standing upon the newly formed earth, Odin and his brothers prepared to breathe life into the world. From the body of Ymir, the brothers had built land, sea, and sky. But a world made only of stone and water was still empty. Creation demanded more. So Odin, Vili, and Ve continued their great work. They raised Ymir's skull high above the earth, making it the sky. At each of its four corners, they placed mighty dwarves to hold it up. These dwarves were named Norgrai, Sugri, Austri, and Vestri, north, south, east, and west. The sky arched above the new world, strong and endless. Next, the gods lit the heavens. They took glowing sparks from Muspelheim and scattered them across the dark dome. Some sparks burned brighter, becoming the sun and the moon. Others flickered softly, becoming stars to guide all who would one day walk beneath them. The brothers set the sun and moon in chariots, each pulled by horses of fire. They gave them paths across the sky, so that day and night would follow each other without end. Yet even with stars and seas, mountains and rivers, something was missing. The world felt still, silent, Nadia, empty. Life was not yet born. It was then that the gods discovered the first trees growing upon the shore. One was strong and upright, an ash tree. The other was slender and bending, an elm. From these two, Odin and his brothers decided to create the first humans. They shaped the trunks into figures, giving them arms, legs, and faces. But they were only forms, without soul or spirit. So Odin bent low and breathed into them the gift of life. Vili gave them thought and motion, while they granted them speech, hearing, and sight. Together, the three brothers completed the first people. The man was called Ask. The woman, Embla Dotwa. They were fragile compared to giants and gods, but they were clever and quick. To protect them, Odin and his brothers built a realm for humans. They placed it in the middle of the world and named it Midgard, the middle enclosure. Around it, they raised a great wall made from Ymir's eyebrows to keep the giants out. Above Midgard, the gods built their own home, high in the sky. They called it Asgard, a shining fortress where the Aesir would dwell. From Asgard to Midgard stretched a burning rainbow bridge known as Bifrost, shimmering red, blue, and green. This bridge became the path between men and gods. Below the world, deep in the darkness, the brothers shaped another realm. This was Niflheim, the land of ice and mist, filled with frozen rivers that roared with venom. There too lay Hel, the shadowy place where many of the dead would go. Far to the south blazed Muspelheim, the fiery kingdom of chaos and destruction, home to fire demons and the giant Surtur, who carried a flaming sword. Thus, the realms began to take form. Asgard above, Midgard at the center, Niflheim and Muspelheim at the edges. But there was still more to come, for the worlds were many, and each held its own purpose. From the seas, the gods brought forth land for the Vanaheim, home of the Vanir gods, a people of wisdom, fertility, and magic. To the east, they shaped Jotunheim, the wild land of the giants, where chaos still endured despite Ymir's death. To the dark places below was built Svartalfheim, realm of the dwarves, skilled in crafting wonders from stone and metal. And in the hidden woods was Alfheim, the bright realm of the light elves, beings of beauty and grace. Together these became the 9 realms, all bound by the great tree Yggdrasil. Its roots dug deep into the underworld, its branches stretched into the heavens, and its trunk stood as the pillar of all existence. The worlds were no longer scattered. They were connected, each part of a living whole. But creation did not end there. Life grew within the realms. Giants roamed Jotunheim. Elves danced in Alfheim. Dwarves hammered in their forges beneath Svartalfheim. In Midgard, Ask and Embla began the line of humankind, fragile yet determined. The gods looked upon what they had shaped and saw balance. Yet balance is never eternal. Chaos still lingered. Giants plotted in their frozen lands. Fire burned unchecked in Muspelheim. Darkness gathered in Niflheim. Even the tree Yggdrasil shook as creatures gnawed at its roots and perched on its branches. Odin knew the peace would not last. Creation was strong, but so too were the forces that sought to undo it. The 9 realms were born, but already the seeds of conflict had taken root. And so, while the world stood in harmony, destiny prepared for the next great struggle. But harmony never stays unbroken. The 9 realms were alive now, filled with gods, giants, elves, dwarves, and men. Yet each realm carried its own will, and not all were friendly to one another. The gods in Asgard sought order. They wished for balance and peace. The giants in Jotunheim, however, still carried the wild power of Ymir. They hated the Aesir, for it was the gods who had slain their ancestor and used his body to make the world. From the very beginning, gods and giants stood as enemies. Odin, Vili, and Ve led the Aesir, but it was Odin who soon became their chief. He hungered not only for power but also for wisdom. He knew the giants were dangerous, clever, and strong. To defeat them, he needed knowledge greater than theirs. So Odin began his endless search for wisdom, a quest that would shape the destiny of all realms. In Jotunheim, the giants plotted. Some sought revenge through battle, while others tested the gods with riddles and cunning. Their strength was great, but so too was their pride. The Aesir fought them in many struggles, battles that shook the mountains and split the seas. Each clash reminded Odin that the order he and his brothers created was fragile. Meanwhile, the Vanir gods of Vanaheim watched from afar. The Vanir were not like the Aesir. They were softer in voice, wiser in the secrets of fertility, nature, and magic. For a time, the two groups of gods did not trust each other. A war broke out between the Aesir and Vanir, long and bitter. Spears were thrown. Walls were broken. Yet in the end, neither side won. Peace was made, And as part of the truce, the two tribes of gods exchanged members. From the Vanir came Njord, god of the sea, and his children, Freyr and Freya. They joined the Aesir in Asgard, bringing wisdom and magic with them. In return, the Aesir sent others to dwell in Vanaheim. From this union, the gods became stronger, bound by both war and peace. While Asgard grew in might, Midgard too began to change. Men multiplied, building homes and learning the ways of survival. The gods often watched over them, guiding them, but also testing their courage. Some men prayed for help. Others tried to win honor on their own. For the Aesir, Midgard was both a gift and a duty. Humans were fragile, but Odin saw in them something powerful: hope. The dwarves in Svartalfheim also played their part in shaping the realms. Small in form but mighty in skill, they forged treasures beyond compare. From their forges came Mjolnir, Thor's great hammer, which would one day defend gods and men alike. They shaped swords that shone with fire, chains that could bind even the most fearsome beasts, and jewels that glittered like the stars above. Though hidden in the dark, their craft touched every realm. In Alfheim, the elves danced beneath the light, their beauty unmatched. They lived close to Yggdrasil's branches, closer to the divine glow. Though they rarely meddled in the affairs of men, their presence brought harmony to the balance of creation. They were reminders that not all beings were born for war. Some existed only to bring wonder. Yet deep beneath Yggdrasil's roots, danger grew. In Niflheim, Hel, daughter of Loki, ruled over the dead. Her realm was cold and shadowed, a place where those who died without honor would dwell forever. She watched silently, but her presence was a warning. The 9 realms carried not only life, but death. Even more fearsome was the fire of Muspelheim. There, the giant Surtur stood with his flaming sword, waiting. Prophecy whispered that one day he would rise from his burning home and set the worlds ablaze. Though far away, his shadow stretched into every dream of the gods. Odin knew all of this. He knew creation was not the end, but the beginning of struggle. He knew the 9 realms were bound together by Yggdrasil, yet they were also bound to a fate no one could escape. The tree itself groaned beneath the weight of existence. A dragon, Nihögr, gnawed at its roots. An eagle perched high in its branches. A squirrel, Ratatoskr, ran up and down the trunk, carrying insults between them, sowing discord even in the heart of creation. The gods ruled Asgard. The giants ruled Jotunheim. Men grew in Midgard. Dwarves forged, elves sang, and the dead slept in Hel. The world spun, each alive in its own way. Yet in the heart of Odin, there was unease. He could sense it. The balance would not last forever. The 9 realms were strong, but their fate was already written. And so, while the worlds thrived, destiny moved quietly toward its next chapter. As the 9 realms settled into their forms, Odin's mind could not rest. He had helped shape the world, yet he knew power alone could not protect it. Wisdom, he realized, was the true weapon against the chaos still lurking beyond Asgard. So Odin set out on a journey that would take him to the very limits of existence. He traveled to Mimir's well, the source of all knowledge, deep beneath Yggdrasil. Its waters held the memory of past and future, of worlds rising and falling, of men and gods alike. To drink from it, Odin had to sacrifice something precious. Without hesitation, he offered one of his own eyes. One eye for wisdom. One eye to see beyond the veil. In that instant, his sight became sharper than any blade, able to pierce the secrets of the cosmos. From Mimir's well, he learned of the fragile balance of the 9 realms. He saw the threads of destiny connecting all worlds. He saw the giants plotting their return. He saw men growing proud, some losing faith. He saw Muspelheim's fire simmering, ready to erupt. And most haunting of all, he saw Ragnarök, the end of all things. Flames, storms, and chaos would one day sweep the worlds. Yet even in that vision, he glimpsed hope. The chance for rebirth. Odin returned to Asgard with knowledge and a plan. He shared what he had learned with the other gods, but only partially, for some truths were too heavy even for them to bear. Together, they devised ways to protect the realms. They forged weapons, strengthened defenses, and taught their champions courage and skill. Thor, son of Odin, was given Mjolnir, the mighty hammer, a weapon to fight giants and monsters alike. He was also tasked with guarding Midgard, ensuring humanity could thrive despite the dangers that surrounded them. Meanwhile, Loki, the trickster, wandered the edges of the 9 realms. Half god, half giant, he was both friend and threat to the Asar. His cleverness often solved problems, yet it also created new ones. Odin knew Loki's presence was a test, a reminder that not all chaos came from outside. Sometimes, the greatest danger came from within. The realms themselves were alive with motion. In Midgard, humanity flourished. Men and women built homes, raised families, and discovered fire and tools. They learned to sail across seas and climb mountains. They prayed to the gods for guidance, and some even learned the old magic whispered by the Vanir. Yet even as they thrived, they were aware of forces beyond their understanding. Storms, wild beasts, and giants reminded them that the world was vast and untamed. In Jotunheim, the giants adapted to their reduced power after Ymir's death. They remained wild, cunning, and dangerous. Yet Odin's wisdom allowed the gods to negotiate, trade, and sometimes trick them, keeping their destructive power in check. Still, the giants always remembered their ancestor and waited for a chance to rise again. The elves of Alfheim continued to sing beneath the branches of Yggdrasil, their light weaving harmony through the realms. Dwarves in Svartalfheim hammered in darkness, crafting wonders that would later change the course of battles. The Vanir, now allied with the Aesir, shared their magic to bless the lands, rivers, and creatures of Midgard, ensuring life could grow in abundance. Yet the threads of fate were fragile. The deeper Odin studied Yggdrasil, the more he realized the tree itself was a battleground. Its roots stretched into Niflheim, where Hel ruled the dead. Its trunk carried life to all worlds, yet beasts gnawed at it, and storms tore at its branches. The tree was a living symbol of the balance the gods had built, strong, yet constantly tested. Odin's vision of Ragnarök haunted him. He knew that one day, Surtur's fire would engulf Muspelheim and spread across the realms. Giants would march once more, and chaos would seek to undo all creation. But he also saw a path to survival. Some gods would fall. Some humans would perish. Yet the 9 realms could endure. After destruction, rebirth would follow. New worlds, new life, and new hope. In preparation, Odin and the gods trained tirelessly. Thor's hammer became legendary, able to shatter mountains. Freyr and Freya taught humans to harness magic, helping them survive the chaos to come. Even Loki, unpredictable as he was, played a role in shaping events, often sowing lessons hidden beneath mischief. As the 9 realms thrived under this careful watch, the stage for the future was set. Life, death, magic, and war intertwined. Each realm had its purpose, each creature its place, each god a duty. Yggdrasil stretched higher than ever, carrying the weight of existence, while the threads of fate shimmered invisibly, guiding all toward the destiny that had been foreseen. Yet despite preparation and wisdom, one truth remained. balance was never permanent. The 9 realms existed not only to be enjoyed, but to be tested. Trials, battles, and challenges would come. And through them all, the courage, strength, and wisdom of gods and men alike would be tested. Thus the world stood, alive and connected, yet trembling beneath the weight of destiny. And through it all, Odin's eye watched, ever vigilant, knowing the story of the 9 realms was far from over. And so, the 9 realms stood, shaped from chaos, fire, ice, and divine will. Each realm held life, mystery, and danger. Yet they were connected, bound by Yggdrasil, the great world tree, which reached from the deepest roots in Niflheim to the highest branches in Asgard. The realms were alive, but fragile. Humans in Midgard continued to grow, learning, building, and exploring. They prayed to the gods and sought guidance from the Vanir, whose magic nurtured the land. Heroes rose among men, learning courage and wisdom, carrying the legacy of Odin's creation in their hearts. Yet humans were not alone in their struggles. Giants still plotted in Jotunheim, elves danced and watched from Alfheim, and dwarves forged weapons and treasures hidden beneath Svartalfheim. Odin watched all of this from Asgard, knowing that balance could never last forever. Even the gods were not invincible. The fire of Muspelheim simmered, ready to rise. The shadows of Niflheim waited for those who died without honor. Loki, unpredictable and cunning, still moved among the realms, shaping events in ways that even the gods could not predict. The 9 realms were alive with motion, yet destiny was patient. Odin had glimpsed the threads of fate, and he knew that one day, Ragnarök would come, a time when gods and giants would clash, and the world would tremble with fire and storm. Yet even in that vision, he saw hope. For after destruction, there would be renewal. From the ashes of chaos, new life would rise. The 9 realms would endure, just as they had been born from chaos itself. But for now, the worlds thrived. The gods maintained order, humans grew wiser, and the creatures of each realm played their part in the balance. Life, death, magic, and conflict coexisted, weaving a complex web of existence. Yggdrasil bore the weight of it all, its roots deep and strong, its branches high and sheltering, its trunk the central pillar of creation. The story of the 9 realms is not only the story of gods and giants, but also of courage, wisdom, and hope. It is a story of beginnings, of order from chaos, and of the eternal struggle between light and darkness. Every realm, every being, every choice contributes to the living tapestry of existence. From the ice of Niflheim to the fire of Muspelheim, from the forests of Alfheim to the forges of Svartalfheim, from the fertile lands of Vanaheim to the human cities of Midgard. All are connected, all are vital, and all are part of the story that continues even now. And as we look to the 9 realms, we see more than just gods and giants. We see the echoes of creation, the power of imagination, and the enduring message that from even the deepest chaos, something beautiful and lasting can emerge. The realms are alive, not only in myth, but in the way their story continues to inspire and teach. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the creation of the 9 realms. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more tales of gods and legends, and share it with friends who love mythology. The story of the 9 realms may be ancient, but its lessons are timeless. Remember that even from chaos, creation can rise. Even in the darkest frost, warmth and light can appear. And even when destiny seems set, courage, wisdom, and hope can shape the future. So until next time, keep your imagination alive and let the stories of gods, giants, and men inspire the worlds you create around you.